soil, water, air. These essential elements form the foundation of life on Earth. Healthy soil and healthy water promote healthy crops and healthy animals. This leads to healthy food for humans, which gives us, you guessed it, healthy people. But how do we ensure health for generations to come? That's one of the purposes of the USDA Agricultural Research Service.
Everyone wants an abundant amount of food and quality food.
If we can improve the sustainability and the resilience of cropping systems, and we can increase productivity simultaneously, then we long-term can do a better job of providing food for people.
A starting place for much of our food is soil, a resource often overlooked and therefore abused. One major outcome of abused soils is called soil erosion. This process can destroy civilizations. It can be as destructive as hurricanes and volcanoes, but it's much slower. One professor said of soil erosion, "The slower the emergency, the less motivated we are to do anything about it." Erosion is generally a slow process and isn't always bad. In fact, wind and water forces have caused it naturally since the beginning of the Earth. But when we remove plants and expose the soil, it becomes vulnerable to rapid erosion, and that is when it's a problem. This happens in many parts of the world when farmers cultivate their land. In the United States, settlement and agriculture caused a nationwide soil erosion emergency. It didn't come to light over days, or months, or even years, but over decades. So for most, it didn't seem like an emergency. But by the early 1900s, millions of cropland acres were abandoned by farmers because they could no longer grow food well, and erosion was the culprit. Farmers tilled new land to replace worn-out fields, but that was only a temporary fix. The frontier was limited, and soon expansion wasn't an option. Eroded lands couldn't just be left behind anymore. This great resource called soil needed to be better understood and managed. There are two main types of soil erosion: wind and water.
A lot of students learned about the Dust Bowl in the Great Plains, and they know that it was caused by wind erosion. However, not as many of them learned about water erosion, which is more prevalent in the eastern and wetter half of the United States.
Some of the worst water erosion in the central U.S. occurred in areas with poorly drained soils. For these soils,
water doesn't go into the soil very quickly, and so a lot comes off in runoff and takes the soil with it in the form of erosion.
In the 1920s, the U.S. Department of Agriculture began research in erosion hotspots. One of those hotspots was the clay pan soil region in Missouri. Later, the Agricultural Research Service, or ARS, formed within USDA, and research soon followed in Missouri in the early 1960s. These efforts were officially titled the Cropping Systems and Water Quality Research Unit in 1987. This unit is based at the University in Columbia, Missouri. Along with scientists at the University of Missouri, ARS scientists have made great strides evaluating erosion, its causes, and its prevention. But new questions continue to emerge as practices and technologies are introduced onto farms. At times, farmers' practices for growing high yields conflict with the public's concern for clean water and air. We need research to help us find a balance. This is why the Cropping Systems and Water Quality Research Unit exists. Its mission is to anticipate needs, develop knowledge, and provide solutions that improve agricultural systems, both economically and environmentally.
By improving our cropping systems, we can ideally improve crop productivity as well as improve the environmental outcomes, and do that simultaneously for the benefit of everyone.